Chapter 8. Victorian Vice. Boxing Day, 26th of December, 1890 AD. Henley-on-Thames, England, United Kingdom. Where the merry fuck am I? Was Ali's first thought as he woke up. This made no sense. The last thing he remembered was being in the kitchen with Freddy, daring him to do shots of garum, Roman fish sauce, and then daring him to down a whole litre of Gaulish red wine. His memories were blurry past this point, as he, too, had downed some form of Roman brandy made of honey or buckwheat. He wasn't sure, but knew he didn't sleep with Freddy, so that was a plus. It was cold. Why was it so cold? He was warm in bed, but as soon as he uncovered his body, he realised he wasn't at Silverbourne Manor any longer. Bloody hell, what is this place? Ugh. Bloody HistorAI, why can't I just have a normal day? He smelled wood coming vaguely from the corner. Or was it coal? He wasn't sure. All he knew is that it was cold. The windows had frosted, and he was hungry. Then, a call at the door. "Up with you, sir. Miss Breacher shan't carry the day's soup alone. The poor souls are nigh starving." A harsh voice. Rather low, but female. It was clearly some kind of ancient housekeeper, or maybe someone else. You better answer. "Soup? Oh, wow. Yes, I'd love some soup. I'm starving," he replied. She clearly wasn't impressed by this answer and boomed through the door again, this time louder. "Come, sir, the broth won't serve itself, and the mouths of Henley are eager this morn." "Fine," he answered curtly. Whatever the fuck this bloody AI was doing, he wanted it to stop. The last thing he wanted to have to do was to serve gruel or bloody porridge. He briefly suspected that the other guys had played a trick on him, putting him into an Oliver Twist-style world for fun and larks. Well, it wasn't funny. He had a housekeeper barking at him, and now would have to serve soup. Bloody idiots. He grabbed a candle and got dressed, presumably having to wear whatever garb had been left for him on the floor. It was a fairly simple outfit, consisting of a pair of breeches, fairly long socks, some undergarments, a shirt, and then a two-piece suit to go over the top. He looked positively spiffing, if not slightly overdressed for serving the poor. He was certain an old t-shirt from Primark would have probably done the trick, but, oh well. Who was he to fight against encroaching AI which had taken over the ancient manor house? He made his way downstairs and found the rectory kitchen, with Miss Breacher inside shouting at the scullery maid and some other young people. It was smoky and he couldn't make much out as there was so much smoke. The linen aprons were stained and they didn't really look into his eyes. Presumably he wasn't meant to be in the kitchen, but he didn't really care. It must have been the 1800s at least, judging by their outfits and by how they were speaking to each other. Aside from this, he felt as if he was overstepping the boundaries of a strict hierarchy in which men would never set foot in a kitchen. Bizarre. So old-fashioned, he mumbled to himself, though loud enough that the industrious woman might hear and perhaps want more from life than being told to stay in a kitchen like a slave. He assumed he would be the one serving the soup and not the one making it, so made his way to the large hall that was arranged as a soup kitchen. It made sense now. The guys had pulled a prank on him and he'd have to serve bloody oatmeal and winter vegetable barley soup. Great, thanks guys, he said to himself. Mrs. Breacher walked back toward Ali as he stood behind a large cauldron next to the open fire. As she poured hot soup into the cauldron from the main kitchen, he noticed the scullery maid lining up chunks of what looked like cardboard. Upon further inspection, it was actually a rough barley rye bread, clearly made to clear out the intestines. In the modern age, this kind of bread would be gourmet and get a high price at a gentrified bakery somewhere in West London. He laughed wryly as he walked away from the bread and made his way back to the turnip and leek soup. He doubted very much that it tasted good, though he had to admit the warmth made his frostbitten fingers come to life again. As the vicar walked in, he said good morning gingerly as he didn't quite know what to say. He tried to speak in a Victorian manner so as to not arouse suspicion. "Good morning, vicar," The vicar, Reverend Dibley, responded, "Blessings upon you, lad. 'Tis Christmas tide, and the poor await their nourishment. Go, serve them heartily, and let none depart empty-handed." "Thank you, vicar. I will," he replied, silently cursing Finn and Freddy, or whomever else had forced him into this damned HistorAI simulation. He added some random Victorian-sounding words to his sentence. "Good morrow, Reverend. 'Tis a joyous day." As folk of all sizes, hues, and shapes walked in, he noticed how none of them really said anything. They were all so quiet. Presumably some had come from far-off villages, even as far as Rotherfield Greys, or maybe even further, to get free food for Christmas. He felt bad for them. Not in a condescending way, just that all their labours and troubles would one day mean nothing. In the grand scheme of life and the cosmos, these people would not stand the test of time and wouldn't end up in the great annals of history. He was sad, briefly, until he remembered he had to serve the turnip soup and should probably just play along with the whole scenario. A fair-haired youth walked up to him. He was probably in his early 20s, no more than 25. He had clear blue eyes and a cute smile. He was adorable, but very badly dressed. He had some sort of cape or cloak on. Perhaps after a bath or two he'd ravage him and fuck his brains out, but, as it stood, this would not happen. He had some mittens on, too. He looked so forlorn. "Would you like some leek soup?" he asked. "Oh, thank you, sir. I'd be much obliged. It smells wonderful," he responded. He felt bad for him. Seeing as most of the others were well into their questionably delicious pottage, Ali decided to probe him further. "Where did you come from? Do you need anything else?" I came from just yonder, sir. Nothing more than a crust in a corner to sleep. I thank ye for your kindness." He was very cute. He wanted to see how far he could push this. "Do you need any clothes or anything?" "I have some shoes upstairs. You're welcome to have those." He was clearly astounded that Ali had asked. It was obviously a symptom of the fact that people of Ali's rank simply wouldn't have been so kind hundreds of years ago. "Shoes, sir? You would give me such things? I dare not trouble you, but I have none that fit, and my feet are sore." "Come upstairs." He decided to take a chance and see how far he could actually take this scenario. The guy was bloody hot. He had an idea. As they both went upstairs, the creaky stairs almost betrayed his plot to Mrs. Breacher, but fortunately they'd managed to get back to his room and lock the door safely to avoid rousing suspicion. He was cute and seemed like he was up for an adventure, which pleased Ali. He hoped that maybe the other guys hadn't tricked him and this was part of some larger simulated fantasy that he could get something out of. The guy stood patiently next to the fireplace, which, by now, had turned to dull embers. It was still rather cold, but he assumed he could find a way to warm the guy up. He looked into his eyes as he stood opposite him, mere centimetres from his face. His damp hair was clinging to his forehead, and as Ali removed his shirt for him, he trembled, but was acquiescent enough that Ali knew he was happy to do so. "Come now, let me help," Ali murmured in a low, restrained voice. He reached for the undershirt, removing it over Finn's shoulders, and felt the warmth of his skin beneath the fabric. They touched briefly as he moved in closer to help remove the undershirt entirely. He went down to help remove his trousers, or breeches, noticing the subtle definition of his thighs and quad muscles. He was bloody hot. He couldn't help himself. The cloth strained slightly over the front of his breeches, marking the hardness there. He was clearly getting turned on. He couldn't stop himself and touched his package briefly, subtly, so as to not rouse suspicion. "Step by step," Ali whispered as he gently guided him. The guy's hands fumbled with the small buttons as Ali's fingers grazed his side as he helped, savouring the feel of the muscle under his skin and his package, which by now was very pronounced. He wondered how large his cock was. He clearly wanted to show it to Ali, but he wasn't sure how to ask. The pauper shivered as Ali touched his hard bulge. and Ali smiled, leaning closer. There. You're perfectly made. Safe, warm, and do you need anything else? He looked up into the guy's eyes as he asked this. Yes, sir, if you want, sir, he responded as he pressed Ali's head against his groin. His cock gently stuck out and was, by now, hard as rock, meaning that Ali could grasp it firmly in his hand. It was raw, throbbing and veiny. It must have been around 8 inches or more, and it felt good to hold. He leaned in to smell it. Fresh, manly, and incredibly inviting. You're a good boy, Ali said as he continued to touch his hard cock. He looked so hot just standing, ready to be used and touched. You're very kind, the guy whispered, voice deep and trembling. I've not been tended to like this before. Then, suddenly, a knock at the door. It was Mrs. Breacher. Ali flinched and stopped, and then a colour flushed across the guy's face due to shock. This was a sin. This was not allowed in their time. He didn't know what to do. Master Ali, are you in there? Mrs. Breacher called through the door, stern and suspicious. The poor grow restless. Reverend Dibley says you're wanted below at once. Ali's breath stuttered. Finn looked at him helplessly, almost fully naked and undressed, desire still written unmistakably across his face. Ali swallowed. His mind was racing. One moment, Mrs. Breacher, he called, voice embarrassingly unsteady. I will be right now. Sorry. There was a pause, then she replied. I should hope so. The poor will not serve themselves. He couldn't continue. Not only as this HistorAI scenario had become dangerous, but he didn't want to put a 20-year-old guy in any danger, even if it wasn't real. He decided to stop. Put these on. You can have them. Take the whole wardrobe, he stated. The guy looked a little shocked, especially as moments ago he had had his hard cock in Ali's hands. But Ali was too freaked out for that. He didn't like this. It was weird. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir. He didn't like this bizarre take on Oliver Twist, so decided to screw the AI over. He reached into his pockets to see if he could give the guy anything. He found 2 small gold coins, one with St. George slaying a dragon and the head of Queen Victoria on the reverse side. Here, take these coins. There's only 5, but enjoy. Merry Christmas. The pauper's face was aghast. This was worth at least half a year's wages to him, which Ali obviously couldn't have known. His face lit up. Happy Christmas to you, sir. Christ blesses you. God bless you. Merry Christmas, sir. Ali was relieved to have given this guy some coins, even if it was a simulation. However, he wanted to end the whole thing and get back to Finn, his real boyfriend, who existed in the real world. He didn't quite know how to stop the AI system, but decided to send the poor guy away and go back to bed. Perhaps sleep was a way to escape this weird situation. He still suspected it was a trick, so didn't want to take anything any further, in case they were somehow recording him in secret. The pauper left and he went to bed. Still horny, but hoped to wake up in 2025 to his real boyfriend with real clothes. He would not be eating soup for a very long time.